Well, we got our plate in there, got the hose drilled out in it, and I got everything tightened down. Got the brakes bled, and ready to show you where we're at now. So, if you look in here, that's really not much to see. It looks the same, other than I got the hose routed and zip tied down. Over here's a good bit of changes. I had to actually mount this master cylinder on a spacer because I realized that the push rod on it was falling underneath my pellet block right here, and I needed it to be out here where the shafts can actually work it. I'll just put some vice grips on there to hold the screwdriver and stuff in place. Now, getting over here and show you some more. That looks like a good spot. Now, if you look up here, you see these two bolt heads? That's where the sensor is on the other side. For the prop switch. And here's the brake. That's me actuating the brake. And if you notice this piece of tape on there, what I was doing with that is I was putting it up till it touched the switch. And I was trying to get an estimate of how much stroke it had. So if you watch this thing, how much it moves before it clicks, that's when the motor will drop out. So it looks about like 3/8 of an inch, which is great, because this here will go on in place of that tape, and it'll go up in here, and what'll happen is it'll actually move some before it actually pushes the brake in. So what'll happen is it'll move, and then somewhere in there it'll click, disengage the motor, and then move maybe a little bit more, and then start pressing the brake in. So that's the idea with that. So now let's go around the inside and look. Of course, there's my pellet block and shaft. This shaft here goes clear through to the other side, and it's got my foot hooked to it for the sensor. And there's the sensor wire right there. It's not hooked up yet, but the sensor's in place. It's kind of funny. What I used for wire for this was trailer plug wire. I was looking in my cabinet for some wire, and I seen this. I was like, hey, that's got all the wire I need. It's got a ground, and it's got the in wire and then the out wire. And of course, if the yellow or brown wire gets broke, that's what'll shut the motor off. So it passes through that switch, and when that switch disconnects, it shuts the motor off. So anyways, let's climb in here. Pain in the butt getting in there. Oh, conduit in the way. All right, you see over here, there's where that shaft comes through, and it hooks to this. And you can see I got like a ski on there. And that's what hits that roller on that switch. Now I got to change hands to reach in there and grab it the other way so I can show you. So I had that up there with the vice grips, and then I was going. And I made this intentionally a lot longer. That way a little travel out there equals a lot in here. Because I wanted to make sure, because that switch, you see how far I have to move that before that switch? It's actually a good bit. And then it doesn't, when you start going down, it doesn't immediately kick off. You have to move it like 3/4 of an inch, I believe, before it re-engages. So the machine won't come back on until it gets there. Well, even then, it's not going to come back on. You have to reset it. But that turned out pretty good. And you might notice that's a massive chunk of 1x1. It's just what I had. I was originally looking for something thinner, and then I thought, hey, being that's on the opposite side of that mechanism, the foot pedal and all is going to weigh quite a bit. It's not going to hurt. It'll actually act as a counterbalance. My switch here well, here's the conduit. If you notice the other piece of conduit in here right there, there's a punch out in the back of the furnace box back there. So I got to take the box off, not punch that out, drill a hole there. And then this will run through in there right beside the other one. All right, so now I showed you that. Now let's see the brakes work. All right, so we can turn it on. Okay, this, come over here where you can hear me. I'll start it in back gear. Right now it's at 40 RPMs, and the fastest speed in back gear is 265. And we also got our high gear, which is 210, and the fastest is 1,600 RPMs. So let's have a go with those here. What I'll do is I'll start it first and shut it off just so you can see what it looks like with no brake, and then I'll, same speed, I'll use the brake. So there's our 40. It's off. And then we'll stop. Okay. Now let's put some RPMs to it. No brake. There's that. Now this. Back here. I want to start out with slower speed. Now this will be our 210. That's pretty snappy. I'm really, really happy with that. So that's that. Now let's go back and have a look at the wiring. And one word of caution, I would just say any of them, but this is a rotary phase converter. You can use variable frequency drives to make your three-phase too. But with the rotary, I would say assume it's all of them. You always have power going in here. So you don't have, just because that thing's off don't mean you don't have power in there. Because there's still two lines in there, or at least one. I know one, I forget, I have to get in there and look again. But I know for a fact one line just simply goes right through, doesn't even go under that. It just goes right into the machine. Which a good way to tell is to try to turn it on without your converter on. If it just hums, so you know you still got power there. So you want to unplug it before you get in here and play around. Which I already played around in there, so we're good. So what I want to do is unhook this wire right here. And of course I'm being careful not to touch anything, but I know this wire here is not live because it's the coil wire. Now what I want to do is start it with that wire loose, and then I can come back here and unhook it and show you fellas. Because that's going to be hooked to my switch to kill it. So now we get back over here, and hopefully it got enough contact to start it. I just put it neutral so that ain't turning. As you can see, it's running. So now if we break the connection on this wire, she should shut off. And you can hear the solenoid drop out there. Contact's disengaged. And of course if you touch it again, it won't come back on. You have to go back and manually reset it to get it to come back on. which is what we want. Might as well leave that unhooked. I need that off. So this is the wire here that'll go to my switch and then come back in and hook right to there. I gotta knock that knockout out, drill a hole there, and I'll be able to bring that wire through. So that's where we're at with that. So now I'm gonna get off camera here and get that done.